Well, hello, friends. It's another morning in the Belle household. Once again, I'm the first person up, although Cyrus may be joining me very soon. I thought I would share a loaf of bread with you today that is the same flavor as the ones I've been sharing lately. This one comes from the author John Milton, who wrote a book called Paradise Lost. He says, "The mind is its own place, and in itself can make a hell of heaven and a heaven of hell." Now, whenever I tell people that I believe in heaven and hell, and they're surprised by this, I read them the Milton quote. Because that's what my view on heaven and hell is. Not that there's a literal heaven that good people go to when they die, and that there's a literal hell underneath us with fire and brimstone and torture and, all the stuff that usually is described as being in hell. But rather that these places are mental, that they are projected onto our everyday life by our attitudes, our beliefs, so on and so forth. So when Milton says that the mind contains heaven and hell, and that the mind can make a hellish situation heavenly, or a heavenly situation hellish, I am firmly on board with that, because I've not only experienced it firsthand myself, I've also seen and heard people describe experiences that very much support Milton's statement. Again, I can't help but go back to Viktor Frankl. That individual is a huge source of inspiration for me. I learned a lot from his book, Man's Search for Meaning. And you could say that he used his mind to turn hell into, if not heaven, then at least purgatory. Because I don't think that he would have described his experiences in concentration camps as heavenly. But he definitely was able to make the best of it, which to me is like turning hell into purgatory. Not heaven necessarily, but to me, anytime you can improve a situation like that by changing your attitude or looking at it from a different perspective, you're doing what Milton is talking about. You're using your mind to turn a hell into a heaven. Now, that's when you use your mind. When I use my mind. But historically, and for most of us, the mind is using us. It's not the other way around. So when the mind is using you, when the mind is in charge, when the ego is in charge, then even heaven becomes hell. Even if you have all the money in the world, even if you have, the best relationships, or you're well liked, you're famous, whatever the case may be, if you don't control your mind, it's going to turn that situation into a hell. So there you have it. The mind is its own place. If you control the mind, you can take a hell and turn it into a heaven. If the mind controls you, every heaven is going to be hell for you. So choose wisely. Live well.